There you go. We're all live there.
I have to do it again.
There we go. Live on my Insta.
Whatever. Just being a jerk. I don't even care anymore.
It might take a second. It took mine a second, but mine's live on my Insta, Facebook, and Insta
We're
or
gonna have to do
LinkedIn.
the key. Copied. Anyway, at least you're live. It says,
It's on your Facebook. It's showing it's on
That's
your
all that
Facebook
matters.
too.
As
So.
long as it's on my Facebook, my Instagram's being a bit of a wiener. So let's do this.
All right. So, yes, we're a little late getting on, but welcome everyone to Over a Pint with Jim and Eric. Tonight we have guests Chantal and Danielle. We're going to have a little story here time with Chantal here about her investment properties and her story of how she got involved and see how we can tie the mortgage into this too. And Jim, maybe you want to give an introduction. I've never met Chantal personally, so
How have you not? I'll let her do a big introduction because she's a bit of a powerhouse in her own. So I'll hand it over.
Okay.
First off, you guys got to tell us where you are. Give a shout out to where you are.
Oh, we're at Dooley's. We're kicking in at Dooley's in Bedford.
Dooley's in Bedford.
It's a good place to be, good place to drink.
I've never been here before, so
Welcome.
and I got ID'd, so that was pretty exciting.
He takes you to all the fancy places.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you know, you're
Jim
going
and I,
somewhere.
we had different ideas. I told Chantal it's like do it wherever. I guess you guys had the plan to go out and actually do the Over the Pint.
Well, that's why I was confused when I got your email, and I was like, "Oh, I thought Jim and I were doing it together." And then he texted me, and I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll be there," because I am terrible with technology. So honestly, I probably would have screwed this all up. So I'm actually glad that
it was me who screwed it up.
I'm glad it's not me.
Yeah, this is different because it is, like I said, it's a virtual studio, so it's like, which is great because we can do this like that you and Jim are doing.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. So yeah, my name's Chantal. I'm a real estate investor and a realtor. I've been investing for about 12 years in real estate, and I've been a realtor for about 5 years.
Yeah, I was chatting with her, and what did you do? She did a post. You did a post about how you got into your first rental property.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, right. People are having a lot of issues getting in, especially in this market, to anything. And it's been like that for a few years now.
Yeah.
And I was just like, how about you come on and share your story? Because like, I love that stuff. And, you know, it's nice to hear of somebody else who has different ways to do it. And again, not the same brokerage at all anymore.
No, not anymore.
But it's all collaboration. And showing that you can collaborate with people keeps the business strong, I think, anyway.
And I think with like price points where they are with housing right now, like you kind of have to get creative with how you're going to do things. And that's how I got into it. Was I was 25. I was trying to buy in British Columbia. I couldn't afford what I wanted to buy. So I teamed up with a friend. We each got pre-approved for like $300,000. And we were like, why don't we buy something together? That's a multi-unit. So we got a 3-unit together and renovated it. Each lived in a unit and rented out the extra unit. And it covered our mortgage. Well, almost. But it was like the only way we could do it when we were 25 and not making, a ton of money, and prices were high. So like I work with investors now, first time investors and first time home buyers. And I do suggest it, like, if they have a budget of 250, 300,000, like there's not much you can buy for 300,000 unless you're buying a mini home. So sometimes I do say, like, is there a friend or a parent or I don't know, somebody that you could do this? And actually a good friend of mine, I just helped her and her brother get into a duplex, a side-by-side duplex. And they're ecstatic about it because they get to own a single, not single family, but like a detached property with a backyard, and they each get a 2-bedroom unit for a fraction of the cost if they each bought separately.
Yeah. No, that's great.
And after that, I had my first property in BC, sold it, moved to Halifax, took the equity there and bought 2 more properties. And then over the years, have just been refinancing them every 5 years, sometimes sooner. I tend to get into variable rate mortgages that are open so that I can refinance, and Danielle might touch on this, so that I can refinance without like a penalty, and then take the equity from the property and just keep on going. So now I have 33 rental units, a couple storage facilities in New Brunswick, and a couple franchises. And it's all just been from kind of the initial bit of investment that I've just been pulling from over the years.
Nice.
Yeah, shared investment.
Yeah.
Shared investment's a good way. Well, again, I'm trying to get in, especially if they start with a rental.
Yeah.
With rental property, get in, pay one side off,
Yeah.
and then pay the other side, and then split it up and go get your place.
Yeah.
So it's a really good tip, and I think for the younger people trying to buy in, that is the big issue right now. Is how do you do it? Not alone, essentially.
And it's like if you don't want to do it with somebody, but you still can, even like you get a 4-bedroom house and you can rent a couple rooms out or something to just help subsidize your mortgage. Anything like that, if you're open to it, is extremely helpful. And like if you can live in like the smaller unit and rent out the bigger, more money making unit, like you just have to do it for a few years. And like, if you can do some cosmetic renovations to like increase the value, like it's almost like, it might be hard for a couple of years when you start, but like you see the payoff big time in a few years.
Yeah, for sure. I've met many clients that I've talked to about that, and even myself, it's like trying to combine your money to make the best bang for your buck. But if you got to find those right partners, or like you said, I've had a few friends when I was in my 20s. I wished I did it when I was in my 20s, but they bought a house and they rented rooms to their friends. And that paid their mortgage, and then everything else from there was profit for them, and they moved on and purchased more and more and more, just like you did, which is great.
Exactly. And like you don't have to start in your 20s. You can start anytime. Definitely anytime. Feels easier now to have done it, started 10 years ago, but like I do have people who some of my clients are starting in their 40s, and they're like, you know what, I wish I started 20 years ago, but like I can start now, so that I'm not saying 20 more years, why didn't I start then? So there's lots of ways to do it.
Yeah. Any tips from our mortgage broker, Danielle?
Well, I've had this conversation recently with sisters. And another thing with this is security, because the rental market, especially if you're renting a home, a lot of people are unsure if they're going to continue their lease or if they're going to sell the house, because the housing market is great. A lot of people who have owned rentals are looking to get out of it. They're selling the home. So people don't have that security. So I have 2 sisters right now, both of them, they have great rates where they're renting and they love where they live, but they're both a little unsure. They looked at getting pre-approved on their own, and now they're doing what you did. They're going to do it together and go with 2 units, maybe 3 units. So it's getting creative. I think you always have to make sure you do it with the right person. One thing I always recommend is having a good exit strategy. If one person wants to get out of it, what's that going to look like?
Yeah. And I have a few partnerships with a few different people, and we write up like a partnership agreement kind of separately, and do that with a lawyer. It's it's not that expensive in the grand scheme of things to get this partnership agreement written up, and then you, exactly like you said, Danielle, like it's all written in there. Like if this person wants to leave, what happens? If this person dies, what happens? Like it's all in there, so there's no like guessing game as to how are we gonna deal with things when they come. So I do recommend that for, if friends get together, like you said, brother and sisters, whatever it is, like have that partnership agreement on the side so that you know exactly what it'll look like if somebody changes their mind or their life circumstances change.
Absolutely. And insurance too with that. Like, I don't know if did you do that? Did you guys have any type of life insurance policy or beneficiary?
At the time, no, but since then, yes, I do have like a life insurance. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's something I
Guess we should
recommend.
go an insurance person, Jim.
You guys messed up.
Do I?
Yes.
Do I have an insurance person? I have a life insurance guy. I could get him on like in a minute.
Oh, we know how long it took you to get on this, so it might take a little longer.
Over a pint isn't over a pint if there's no shenanigans happening.
Well, that's true.
So is everybody drinking, mentioning that? Like everybody got their...
Yeah.
Oh.
Good, good. And it's not over a pint without the drink either, right? Oh,
Got to drink local, though. I have to give a
Nice.
shout out to Garrison for mine.
Yeah.
Tatamagouche Brewery, Deception Bay, all the way.
Yeah.
Nice.
It is good.
Usually hit Galaxy if I'm drinking beer and having a pint, but
What did you get?
I have a tequila and soda.
Oh.
That's my pint these days.
That's party time.
This is my it's my low calerie drink. You know, if I'm gonna eat wings and burgers, I drink light.
Yeah. Smart.
At least double. But I'm just gonna shout out of like where everybody's working. Like throw a little jazz your way, yo.
Yeah, Danielle, you go ahead. Where are you at?
I work with Premier Mortgage. So I have been in this industry for 25 years. I bought my first home when I was 22. So I get it. That was a very exciting time. And I feel for people these days, they can't do it the same that we did back then. I worked for Scotiabank for 18 years, and then I went out on my own as a broker about 7 years ago. So I mostly work from home, and we have an office in Halifax as well.
Yeah, Premier is a great company.
Absolutely. Mostly, well, everybody that works there mostly comes from banking industry, so they have a good background, good knowledge. Yeah.
Can you talk about, Danielle? I know this is kind of off topic, but I always get the
take it wherever you want.
Yeah. Okay. It's probably more for other people listening, but like my clients are always like, Chantal, should I talk to a broker or like a person at the bank? What's the difference between somebody at the bank and a, mobile mortgage specialist? Like, can you talk about that?
I can. I mean, so yes, there's the bank. Some people, want to go to the bank. They want to go sit down with someone that they know at the bank. But the problem is if anybody goes to a bank, people don't stay in the same job. So you're not usually dealing with the same person. And the problem is sometimes you don't know the experience level that you're getting when you walk into a branch. You could get anything. And I know this because I worked there. I seen people come in. I seen the stuff that would happen. And I get the calls from people who say, I've walked into the bank and I got pre-approved for this amount. And then I'll do a second look over their file and I'll say, well, okay, that's great that you got pre-approved for, say, $280. But like you guys know, in this market, that's not going to help us. So I might look at things further and say, okay, well, what if we pay out this car loan? Can we qualify you for a little bit higher if we do that? So they might be able to, and some people have RSPs that they can draw on. Some people think you have to use it all towards a down payment, but it's not the case. You could use that to pay off your car loan as long as you're buying a home and you're a first-time home buyer. So I look at things a little bit differently, and I think most brokers do. Another big difference that you'll find between a broker and a bank, when I worked at a bank, if rates went down after you came into my office and you said, I'm buying this property, and if rates went down, I couldn't call you and say, Chantal, guess what? The rates went down. I'm getting you this lower rate. If you called me and begged me, I could go and ask permission and try to get the lower rate. But as a broker, we can do that. We're watching. We want you to have the lowest rate. So that's a big difference. And then it can come down to the lenders that we deal with. So the bank is, federally regulated. It's kind of one product. You have to fit into that mold. And as a broker, we have so many more options because these days people are not fitting into the mold.
So I have a follow-up question. I had heard, but maybe this is incorrect, that sometimes a bank, if you're with a bank already, sometimes they can get you like a lower rate than maybe a broker can get you, even though a broker can look at like all the banks. But maybe that's not necessarily the case. Maybe I heard that incorrectly.
Right now, it's different at different times. Like we're seeing some renewal agreements that are coming out, and the rates on those are lower than what I can get. Definitely. So some banks are using that to try to keep business rather than try to go buy more business. So they're offering a little bit lower rates. But typically on the purchases and refinance, it's similar. I mean, you'll usually see about 10 basis points difference.
Okay. Not a huge difference.
Not huge, no.
Okay. No, that's good to know. I mean, I personally have always preferred going with a broker. But I know some people are like set on like, I bank here. This is, I feel comfortable here. I go here. This is what I'm doing. And I'll usually recommend to people to get an approval at like one broker and one bank sometimes, so they can see the difference, see how the people work differently too. Because like in my experience anyway, I get way better service with a broker. They're way more attentive, way more communicative. I don't know. I love it. It feels
the phone.
Yeah, they answer their phone. Like it's just, it's nice.
That's a different thing.
And the thing I say to people too is when your mortgage is funded, I'm not done. You can still call me. If you have a question on your mortgage, call me. Because anybody who's called a bank, how fun is that? I'm cursing before
run
I
around.
even get the right number to push or say the right thing. So I think that's the biggest benefit.
Yeah, it's huge. You're right. Awesome. Okay.
So a little on the I'm sorry, I'm just like lagging, checking back and forth on the other screen. I'm like, who's in here right now? Hi, Zdenko. How's it going? Just investment properties. Have you done many people there, Eric, with investment properties? Have many investing clients?
Yeah, over my career, I have off and on, because I've been in the business since 2007, but I started in Fredericton. Been back here for about 7 years now. So
shout out Fredericton.
lately,
Sorry, Eric. I'm excited.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. I lived there for like 15 years, so it was fun. It was nine
Nice.
years as a real estate agent, and my background is working also with the New Brunswick Real Estate Association. So
Amazing.
I've seen a lot of different things as well as you. So it's interesting to hear your story, because a lot of what you do is what I've been wanting to do, and a lot of the conversations I've had with different people, and it's so simple, but sometimes people don't think about it. And it's, like we've all been talking about, is thinking outside the box. And, if it is a short-term thing, if you can buy 2 units and you live in the smaller unit, you're going to get more money from that larger unit. And we've had a lot of my clients have done that exactly. And I got one guy, in 2 years, he bought 2 properties and basically had a double unit, and now he's in a single unit, and he held on to those first 2.
Yeah.
And it was super simple for him.
Yeah. I know like quite a few of my clients now that they got into their first home, let's say 4 or 5 years ago. They're now moving on to like their bigger, next home, but they're trying to find ways to keep that first home and use it as a rental. And still be able to afford their next home, which I think is great, because it's almost getting into the rental game without really planning on getting into it initially. But they're like, I want to keep my my North End Hydrostone house. I have a ton of equity in it because I bought it 4 or 5 years ago. I'm gonna pull that equity. I'm gonna buy my next place, but I'm still gonna keep this and like get a good rent for it. So and I mean, it's tough because, you know, people trying to get in now, it's not the same as a few years ago, but like there's still so many who used to get into the market. And I tell people, I'm like, well, if you don't get in now, what are you going to think in 3 years? Like, you're going to wish you got in now. So,
well, and that's the thing, because I mean, we're in the market. Danielle's in the market. She sees like our average price has continued to rise since the pandemic. So it's making it more difficult every day. So
yeah,
like myself and my girlfriend, we're in a small home, but that's our exact goal. Is our next step is to go buy a 2-unit.
Yeah.
Where you know, it depends on what happens and where the market goes, interest rates and such, and income, and if we end up holding on to what we're in right now, because that was the original plan,
yeah.
and go buy that second 2-unit, or we might have to sell this to get the money to be able to go purchase that second place. So it's
But even
up in
that,
the air at that point.
it's like, even if you have to sell your first place to get your next place, if you're going to 2 units, then even that is a big step up, right? Because you've got that.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're trading what you have now, but you're still keeping 2 units, which is great. And like, I've even had people, you know, they're like, okay, we want a 2-unit, but like, could we maybe afford a 3-unit? Like, could we slip a 3rd unit in there, even if it's like a bachelor unit? Bring us in $1,000. So it's like, sometimes I have those conversations with people where I'm like, you're kind of on the fringe of like your high end duplex, your low end triplex.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you can get into that triplex versus the duplex, then you just got another $1,000, $1,500 coming in.
Yeah. I think that brings another thing though, is the risk factor of people and how much risk they're willing to take. And that's a personality conversation that I think I've found over my years of doing this, is some personalities can't take that high risk. So I'm talking more about, say, buy the 2-unit that is a little bit more run down, cheaper price, living in one, fixing it up as you go. I've had that conversation with many people, and as soon as you get into it, you could tell they're not that high risk. But they want that, like you mentioned, all done 2-unit, high end, ready to move in. Nothing needs to be done except for regular maintenance. So there is different clientele that we work with that way, and the different risk value or risk levels that different people will take. For yourself, are you a big risk taker or a lower risk taker?
High risk.
I'll throw you on the spot that way.
No, it's like my husband and I talk about it because he's like very low risk and I'm high risk, and we like, sometimes we just can't meet, where I'm like, Dave, let's buy this property right here, and he's like, no, stop, we're not doing it. I'm like, no, it's fine. Yeah, so like, I'm definitely.
I hear that, because that was my girlfriend and I with this place, because I was the high risk person, because this place was the previous owner smoked in it, needed, you know, completely painted, you know, everything cleaned and everything. So she was like, no. But I mean, we've been in it a short time and we've already built a ton of value because of the market alone. And I did get it a little bit cheaper, I think, than if it was a non-smoked in unit.
For sure.
One thing I want to pipe in and say is that a big misconception people think when they're buying a second home, if they're going to keep their first, that they need to have a big down payment, but you don't. You can buy another home with 5% down. So that's
5,
key. And one other thing I'm seeing lately too is that you can purchase a home and look at doing a purchase plus improvement. We can do renovations up to 100,000 that you could put another unit in. So if you're buying it, you can do those renovations and tie it all in together to make those 2 units. So that's pretty key if you're doing it with a friend or a sibling, because you don't necessarily want to be in each other's space. So there's options for that too.
Well, and I mean, in that way, it doesn't tie up, you know, if you have current line of credits or visas and MasterCard, stuff like that too, right? So tied into that mortgage, you know, it's a long-term investment or even a short-term investment, but you're going to get the return on it short-term as well by doing that money up front.
Exactly. And it's not always, you know, some people will think, you know, if you go to a bank and you don't qualify, that does not mean you do not qualify. There are so many options. You may pay a fee of 1% to be able to get a mortgage. But if you have roommates paying that mortgage and another unit, you're not going to mind that percentage. It's better than not having a property at all.
Yeah, so true. Danielle, have you seen, so somebody buys the house, they do 5% down, they buy their next place, let's say a year later, they do 5% down. Let's say a year later, they buy a third place. Like, can they still do 5% down? Or is there like a spot where is there like a cutoff where you're like, okay, this is your fourth place?
I just recently read something that they would were looking at that, but no, really, there hasn't been. I mean, a lender may question it. They may say, you know what, I don't think so. I think, you're trying to buy rental properties with 5% down. And they may say, decline it and say, no, that can happen. But there's many different circumstances, as you know, of why somebody would sell after a year and maybe look at buying something else. But you might be moving to another province. So
yeah. I know I've had clients who have had an issue where they had, like, let's say a really nice single family home, and then a year later they're picking up like a 3-unit and they're saying they're moving into it, and they are moving into it, but the lender's kind of like, why would you move from this like, $600,000 single family home into like one of the units of this $700,000? Like, they've almost questioned, like,
absolutely,
the downgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this is the thing, lenders, they are like detectives. They will ask and they will question everything. And so, I try to get as much information from the client up front as possible. And honestly, sometimes people are trying to buy a rental with 5% down and they're not going to move into it. So you can usually quickly find that out with a few questions. And lenders, it's usually pretty transparent. If you are a family and you're claiming child tax credit and you have 3 kids and you're moving into that third unit with 1 bedroom, no, it's probably not happening. So those are things. And if you lenders look at all of this, they know we have credit bureaus, bank statements. So it's pretty hard to pull one over on them.
Yeah, it's so interesting. They're like you said, they're like detectives, like trying to figure out the story of what makes sense.
And that's why I always tell people, tell me the story. I'm not the police. I am not the CRA. Just tell me the story so I can help you with responsibilities.
Yeah. No, I like that.
Right.
I find sometimes people forget that we're on their side and we have, these creative ideas to help protect them as well.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
How about a investment for properties where you've done? I think we've all had some play in the investment property world here. Let's throw out some tips. What would be your number one thing that you'd say to somebody? Kind of go through and give everybody a shot here.
In terms of starting and investing?
Sure. Just anybody who's looking to get into investment properties, what's something you would tell them?
Okay. Well, I would say get the most amount of units possible in your budget, but if you can't, get the most amount of bedrooms in your house. Let's say you can only afford a single family home. Well, get 4 bedrooms over 2 bedrooms. Any way that you can increase your cash flow, do it. That's what I would say.
I would say vet your tenants.
Vet your tenants.
That is, and I mean, check their credit. Did they have collections? Call the previous landlord. Were they paying their rent? Because Chantal, you own a lot of properties, 33 doors. Have you had any nightmare stories?
So I have had, I think only one actually, because I do vet my tenants pretty well. I call current landlord, past landlord, current work supervisor, past work supervisor, and sometimes I even go a third level if I can and get a third landlord and a third work reference. And I find if I do all of those, I've never had an issue. There's only been one issue and I knew I had a bad feeling, but I was in BC. It was my BC rental. I flew in. I tried to rent it in the week I was there. I was on my last day of there, and I was like, you know what, I think these people will be fine. They're in their 50s, they're a couple, you know, like they're going to be fine.
The 50s to pull anything.
No, and they were awful. They smoked, like chain smoked in the unit. They were awful. But I knew, like I had a feeling. And I should have just listened to my gut. I should have waited an extra month. And now I do that. Like if I don't find anybody in that month, like I'm okay now waiting an extra month, losing rent for a month, because it's the headache is not worth it to, you know, lose $2,000 or whatever it is. So yeah, I do that. And I just did it actually with one of my units. I was trying to rent it for January 1st. I didn't love the people coming in December. So I waited, put it up for February 1st, and I got a lot of people apply in January. I think it was just time of year, like heading into Christmas, people weren't really looking, and I got some really great tenants. So I would say you're right, vet your tenants and be okay with waiting an extra month if you have to find them.
What about you, Eric? What's your tip?
I was just thinking, make sure you're looking into, you know, the provincial loans and assessments or extra money available for renovations. Like there's all those money available to add backyard suites and basement suites. So, you know, look into those as well when you're talking to your mortgage brokers and real estate agents, because there is money to help you with those home improvements to make that second unit or third unit.
So true. Yep, you're right. There's great incentives right now for that. Jim, what's yours?
Same thing for any property purchase in my mind. I'm all about mortgage plus improvements. I look for the instant equity. Are you going to put in $50,000 to $70,000? But is it going to return? Like, is it going to up your value to 100? Is it going to? Are you getting 30 just by walking in that door, ready to go? And that's it. Whether it's big enough with an unfinished basement to put in 2 extra bedrooms, or maybe a suite down there for a family. Like I just had a place where I had a client who wanted to market it as like a really nice single family home. I'm like, you have a basement apartment. Essentially, it's not set up like that, but you have one. Like, let's push that out there. So all of a sudden, we're not looking at just a single family home. We're looking at an over under unit where it's legal. And I think as soon as we put that up there, all of a sudden we went from no interest to viewings to a sale.
So I have a question for you realtors. What kind of value does that add to a property? If somebody's got a 2-story basement and they convert it, what would be the difference between a single family and that when you're pricing?
All depends on the neighborhood.
There's so many factors.
House, people,
the number of bedrooms, how nice it is, but like you could jump up an extra $100,000 in value easy with a second unit.
The buyers, that's what it comes down to. Because sometimes you'll have somebody that's it. Like they're like, I want an income place. All of a sudden they have extra income. They will spend more. That home is already more valuable just from finishing your basement, but to make it now an income as well, that's the value. You also will have people who might want to bring the in-laws in. And all of a sudden they're not paying for a full house. So they're willing to pay more for a home that they can bring their elder family in, or somebody who needs that extra support. So quite a bit of value.
Like I have clients right now and they're like, you know, we'll pay $600 up to $600 for a single family home, but we'll pay up to $750 for a home that has a unit in it for their in-laws, because their in-laws will pay them rent essentially to contribute to the mortgage. So like for them, they're like, yeah, we're looking at everything. We're looking at single family under 600, and we're looking at 2 units or, you know, house with an in-law.
Square footage.
Like just basically with a 1-bedroom finished basement unit, they're willing to spend an extra $100,000 to $150,000 to get that. So it can add a lot of value.
Definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
I've had new constructions that, or I'm noticing like some of the new constructions they're finishing the basements, but they're adding plumbing and water piping already in place, so you can put that kitchenette in, because the bedroom's already there. It's legal window. There's an exit. Everything's walkout type basement. So now I got 2 clients that properties like that, and that's their plan, put little kitchenettes in, and now they got a little 1-bedroom, rental down there.
So in Victoria, BC, when I lived there like 10 years ago, everything they were building and still building because it's so expensive has a basement unit, like has a legal basement. Like they don't build without that because nobody can afford it. And I think as Halifax gets more expensive, like all the things we're building in Spryfield have a bachelor unit in them because people are like, they can't afford 657 unless it has, and I love it. I love, like, I love that they're building it into it.
It's funny because I see a lot of other countries starting to roll into Nova Scotia's like how the builds are going and the marketplace is working. Like in Australia, with my sister out there, it's just nothing to see somebody with an added unit on their property. Like they have a regular home, but then they have a suite.
In the back,
all of a sudden, like a backyard. Garage is a suite instead. And they're making their money off of that. And that's how they're paying because
they can't afford it. Yeah. They probably can't afford it otherwise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Starting to see more of those even in Cole Harbour. There's a house and it's got they basically built it looked like a 3-unit in the backyard.
One thing I do caution people if they're using some of those programs and stuff and they're doing, an in-law suite is talk to an accountant to see if that can trigger any type of capital gains for that unit.
On their home,
Yeah. So because a lot of times your primary residence is exempt. So just talk to an accountant about that. That's the one thing I am cautioning people to do.
Yeah. Good idea. You're right.
Yeah. Good tip.
I should know more about this, but Dave does all our.
I have heard. I've heard different aspects of that. Is there some people who straight up don't want to do it because they're afraid of the capital gains? When somebody is sitting around in like my mindset is, are you doing rentals anyway? Is it under a business number? Like, what is your house under your name or is it under this? And if they're going to buy their own home eventually and they just wanted to add this to make money in the meantime, again, I'm like, put it under your business number and then have your next purchase as your main home. So you just sit there like that. And usually it is somebody with a business number. They're like somebody who's already doing rentals who's going to buy this rental from you. And the lovely thing about, businesses buying businesses.
That's right.
It's all tactics, but that's it. We're specialists in knowing who you want to contact. Yeah. So it's like will point you to the specialist, you talk to your accountant, and I will step back.
Yeah, make sure you got lawyer, accountants.
Yeah, maybe you should bring a lawyer, an accountant, and an insurance person.
I have had my lawyer on Over a Pint quite a few times. Okay. Me and Mark, I have to start again this year. We'll go down to the Spitfire in Windsor.
Yeah.
And
is that where your lawyer? Does he live in Windsor?
Yeah, he lives in Windsor. So we'll sit at. Well, he does the city. He grew up in Lake Echo with me.
Okay.
And he's just stationed out of Windsor, but he's the main of his office. He's the main one to do the city.
Okay.
And we'll hash things out, and I'll say something. He'll be like, "Yeah, but."
Classic lawyer.
Yeah, but.
Mm-hmm. There's never a straight answer.
Oh no, there's only a straight answer when you're wrong.
Yeah.
No, Jim and I are still learning how to do this and this whole video stuff, so we'll get better eventually, Jim.
Maybe. Or maybe we'll just keep people hanging.
Maybe
to be like, how have you been doing this for so long and you're still so bad at it?
I mean, I just thought you had it figured out, but you didn't.
Oh, so. Me. Again, it works sometimes. Like I said, last time I did it with my mics, they were perfect.
Yeah.
But it could have been something else. Like, because when I started, while I was doing it up at Patrons, while we were golfing, I'd go up there, hit a few, and kind of rotate out. My mic was on point. I was even early. Everything was set.
Yeah.
I think it's because I'm not hitting the golf screen eating wings. That's the problem.
Well, it is our first cast of the year too. So
Speaking of the year and first things, hey Eric, you want to give a little shout out to what's coming out with the with this real estate team of ours?
So yeah, so we'll give you a little plug for ourselves. It's just we have our new podcast coming out, the Community Game Plan. We're going to have special guests, and we're going to continue the roll off of what we're doing right here, kind of focusing on the community, trying to get spotlights on community businesses, locals like yourselves, Danielle and Chantal, and then Jim and myself, and just showing what we do as real estate agents in the community other than just opening doors for strangers sometimes, because that's our focus. Jim and I, we want to make sure we're educational, focus on community, building communities, big and small, and making sure that people, when they're coming to Nova Scotia from outside, know what community they want to be in that's going to best suit them. Because I'm like you, Chantal. I'm from Victoria. My dad's retired military. I've lived in 5 provinces, 3 different countries. So
Crazy.
I've been in and out all over the place. So
Yeah.
This is home. Dartmouth's the longest I've ever lived anywhere in my life. So
Wow.
Dartmouth is home for me, and I just want to continue building and helping the community that I'm in, and that's what Jim's about too. So that's our podcast is going to be a lot about that too.
So when does that start, or has it started?
We just
we did our
tossed out
first
our
episode.
teasers.
Ooh.
Yeah, our first teasers were posted today.
All right.
That's
January 31st, they're actually releasing the full podcast.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah.
So if you have any ideas, if you want to pop in, or
Okay. I like it.
It's more professional than this because we actually.
Oh yeah, this is a mess up. This is us having fun. That's why Over a Pint means we're chilling with beer. Deal with us how you get us.
Yeah.
But the community game plan, it's
that's
serious
your serious side.
Yeah.
Again, it's not serious.
Community game plan shenanigans with Jim and Eric too.
Yeah,
so
shenanigans are still there. No, Pod Starters. Let's give a shout out to them because they're definitely. They listened to us. They heard what we were going for, and they're like, "All right, this is what we think." And they gave a really nice layout. And
so, what are they? A company?
They are. Yeah, they're in downtown Halifax, and they help you get a podcast started. But then they also they help it roll. Like they give you a nice outline of how you want to do it. With us, they just let us talk.
Yeah.
Because
what you want to do.
They're doing the production, video, audio,
track.
Editing, everything like that. Then they'll take create shorts for us for social media to use, and then like we said, we had a guest, Jay Fisher and Linda Smardon. So they actually created 2 little shorts for us. It's them, Jay and Linda, each talking about themselves a little bit, and everything, so we can share that really simply and easily too.
That's really cool. Well, I'm excited to hear it.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's throwing it up on YouTube, and then I think we're getting it. They're tossing it up on their they have thing we're on like Spotify, and we're everywhere now. We're everywhere. Yeah,
we'll share the links.
We're very professional now.
Oh my goodness! number 1 podcast coming.
That's it. The number 1 community real estate community podcast.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, a lot of shit.
I can't wait to tune in. Make sure you share it.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely, and we'll definitely if you guys want to come out, we'll definitely find some other topics and just have some fun. Like that's what this is all about, and collaborating as much as we can with everybody around us.
The community.
Well, that's it. I think the other big thing is like why it's community. It's the same as like I've been bouncing ideas off of you a bunch if I have stuff. It's just knowing who you can talk to in the industry. It's not everybody. You don't have to give your clients information. You don't have to sell somebody out to work well with people.
Yeah.
And I feel like everybody's just so cutthroat sometimes that it's nice for people even outside the industry to see that, we can work together to find the best solution for everybody.
Danielle, what are mortgages like? Are you guys like always like in competition, or is it like collaborative between mortgage brokers ever?
You know what? Well, I can speak for Premier. We're like, if somebody called me and they're already dealing with a Premier agent, I'm going to say stick with them. They know what they're doing. They're good. So we don't try to poach on one another. Could it be, it's rare that I lose a file. Does it happen every once in a while? It might.
Yeah.
But not very often, like to colleagues.
Yeah.
And I find everybody pretty good and helpful. Like we're very good to help one another out.
Yeah.
Mortgages are complicated. Like no two are the same. And so we really have to depend on each other to get through some of the deals that we're seeing these days, because things are a lot more complicated now than what they were before.
Yeah, I imagine.
B20 changed a lot. So
that's what I love. I mean, it might be the same with mortgages, like you said. That's what I love about real estate is like no two deals are the same. Like you're never going to do the same thing twice. You're going to learn something pretty much every time. So you never stop learning, and it's fun.
Yeah, even if it's the same person.
Yeah,
the same person, similar. It's something will go wrong. That
no deal is ever, two deals are ever alike.
No, it's gold. You did you do a little plug for your new brand change? Did you? That's a good deal too.
Yeah, we launched our new branding. So we were Team Stevens at Exit Metro. Now we're And Realty Group, and we really we just wanted it to sort of encompass like the messaging behind it is like we're not just like we don't just transact and help you buy and sell. Like we do so much more than that. So like yes, we'll help you buy and sell, but we'll also be there, kind of like you said, Danielle. Like it doesn't just end at you get your mortgage funded and that's it. Like we'll help you buy a house and we'll connect you with all these other professionals, and we'll get you tradespeople, and we're going to send you messages on your birthday. We're going to check in with you. Like we're going to give you closing anniversary gifts. Like, I don't know. It just keeps going. And that's what I really like. So yeah, I'm happy with it.
And I find in the Maritimes, and we do business a little bit differently. We want to have that connection with our clients. I want them to have trust in me, and I want to enjoy my relationship with the clients too. And
exactly.
I think we're very lucky.
And any of our partners, all of our partners.
Yes,
And we want to do business with people that we like, and we want them to like us, and we want them to come back to us. Like I love like some of my repeat clients that have bought 5-6 houses with me. Like I love them. They're my favorite people. Like we just have this good relationship. Yeah. I love working with them. It's never hard. Like the deal is different. There might be issues in the deal, but like they're just so great to work with. I know how to work with them because we've done it so many times. It's just wonderful.
It's not work when you're doing it because you enjoy the relationship. So it's great to work with those people.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And not even just the ones that keep coming back to us, the ones who only bought the one, but they're like, oh, I had such a good time. They send you this person and they send you that person. And it's just like, thanks. Cause that really shows how much somebody like trusts you. Like if they're all of a sudden you're dealing with, like I had somebody recently, I was dealing with a military person. And then the next thing I know, she's like, oh, by the way, my mom's moving. Can you give her a call? And I'm like, oh, wow. Like, you don't just trust me enough to tell your coworkers, but you're giving me your mom. Like,
and sometimes my best referral sources have actually been from somebody that I couldn't help right away. It might have been a year. It might have been 2 years before we could get it done. But because I worked with them and, along the way, that's when they start referring you.
Yeah.
Any repeat client is a great client, I think.
It's true. You're right.
You want to drop in? Oh, look. Linda Smardon must have heard the name because she dropped in.
Yeah, she must have. Saw that.
So what's everybody been up to? Anything interesting in life?
I have been winter camping and absolutely loved it.
Ooh, oh, yes. That's brave.
Her winter camping stories have been interesting over the time I've known.
I just spent the weekend out at Porter's Lake Provincial Park in a tent, and it was amazing.
How do you
I
keep
do
warm?
love that one.
With a wood stove in a teepee.
Oh,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'm just. What do you mean a teepee? What do you mean?
Yeah.
And what are you?
It's a teepee. So look up hot tent on Amazon, and you can
Okay.
see like go to Canvas, and they have a stove jack in it, so you can have a little wood stove in it.
So like you
And
carry this wood stove around with you?
yeah, it weighs less than 5 pounds. It's
Oh,
titanium. So it's for
okay.
hiking. Yeah, you can walk in, put it together in less than a minute.
Split
Hmm.
all
I was gonna say I spent a lot of time out in the Porter's Lake, the campground out there, and I don't recall them having like winter huts of any sort out there that you could stay in. So that must have been your own.
Yeah, there was 40 other crazy people with me. Yeah, it's a
Wow.
group of people that go every few weeks. I joined last year, something to get out in the winter time to do something different. I love snowshoeing and skiing, so just something to pass the winter. And this was one thing that I thought I'd like to try that, and I did, and now I love it. So that's
So like
what I've
you're
been
saying,
doing.
wow, I've been cold plunging, so that's been
Ooh,
interesting.
I
Oh,
see.
that's
I'm
new.
wanting to do that.
That's new.
How do you find that?
Um, so the first time was awful. Yeah, it was like it was like -12 or 15. It was literally like the coldest day possible. We had to like break the ice. And I didn't have, so the key is like to get these booties, like these, they're almost like wetsuit booties. So you get the booties and you get the mittens, and then you're able to like last a lot longer. So like I've gotten over a minute, but apparently you got to do like 3 minutes is what you want to get up to. But yeah,
it gets pretty quick.
It's pretty crazy. Like your body just like it hurts. It just goes numb, and then you're just in the water.
Wobbly legs to get out.
Oh yeah, when you get out, if the wind's blowing, it's like awful. Like I remember that first day, and like my hands were too cold. I couldn't like pull clothes on because like my hands were just like shaking and cold. So don't go when you're like -15, but like a good like 0-degree day. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And you do feel like energized after. So like
I just want a nap after a while. Like after I'm done, I just like I am ready for a nap. I'm just like, oh, that was nice. And I just like put on a sweater and I'm ready for a nap.
I'm like, let's get going.
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm backwards. I'm backwards. It's like
I have a hard time when the pool's 80 degrees. So.
So honestly, Danielle, I hate cold water more than anything, but it's different because it's like so cold. It's painful. I don't know.
It's pins and needles.
Yeah.
It's straight up pins and needles.
Yeah, I went to a Nordic spa in Quebec, and you had to get into the river. And that I did not last a minute. I'm lucky if I lasted 5 seconds. But I did enjoy I think then you do a little like cycle of like rest and then warmth or something. Do you do that afterwards every time?
I usually walk home bundled up, and then I sit by like my wood fire and warm up that way. But like a sauna would be nice. That would be a lot nicer. But I don't have one of those. And we do it in the lake. So we're like the lake in our neighborhood. So we like break the ice, go in the lake, and then walk home freezing.
Which is another reason you need those booties. I wear my boots when I go anyway to that lake because the rocks are horrible.
The rocks are awful.
I seen someone post a lady swims out at Queensland like every weekend. She's in the water like for long periods of time.
For long periods of time.
You know, you can buy those like ice tubs you can put on your deck. Like you don't have to go far from your house. So.
Right.
Yeah, she's not far from the beach.
I'm not that far, but you're right. That does sound easier, and then I could warm up. I could warm up better.
A lot quicker. Yeah.
Just get the cold and then get one of those stand-up saunas too, like because they're the same material that you can just buy the set.
I know.
I'll come over.
Apparently, you're not supposed to warm up too fast, though. So, like, I was told that if you go from cold to extreme hot, it gets your it's like hard on your heart. Mm-hmm. So you are supposed to warm up slowly.
I would bypass the ice bath and go straight to the heat anyway. So
go right to the warm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do something called the turkey dip every year. Is where we'll go on Thanksgiving. We'll go for a swim.
Yeah.
and then we don't break the ice. If you can get into the water, which most New Year's you can, we'll go in New Year's as well. But
I think what I'm hearing is that Danielle and I are more hardcore than Eric and Jim.
No, I love cold water.
And that's what I heard.
I told you to invite me, and you still didn't tell me when your next time was.
I'll go this weekend. We'll go this weekend.
Okay, I'll go this weekend.
Actually, Chantal, I think you're more hardcore than me.
I don't know, winter camping and sleeping.
Yeah, but she's got a fireplace. She's got
well,
a
the fire goes out.
Yeah,
the fire goes out. You wake up and it's minus 12 is minus 12 in that tent.
Do you have a polar sleeping bag, like one of those high-end sleeping bags, though, with the nice hoodies and everything?
How does your nose? Like my nose would get cold. Like when I'm.
You know what? You are right. That is the one part of my body that was cold the entire weekend.
Yeah.
And I did everything. It's probably still red because I was doing everything to try to keep this sucker warm. I was putting like the things on it.
Just get those face masks, the COVID face mask. Put that over. Keep your nose warm while you sleep.
They condensate.
Yeah,
really
that's
bad.
true.
You can't.
Yeah, that makes it worse.
Can someone just come out with like a nose cover that hooks around?
Honestly, this
I would
winter, I was
that.
trying to design it in my head. I'm like, how would this work? My friend and I came up with like maybe the breathing strips, and it comes out like heated and make it look like a carrot. I don't know.
I think they're clown noses. Those can work.
Yeah, you just pop a red.
Yeah, that was the only part. Was cold.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
I sleep face down, so to me, my nose never gets cold. Very difficult.
Yeah. What you got on the go, Jim? We'll finish this. We're almost on the hour, Jim. We'll clean this up, finish this up, and
not again. I'm just we got finishing off doing all my post New Year's touching base, finishing that off. I just did the movies the other day. I finished off my calendars then, so people are only a month behind with some of their calendars. That's fine. They got them.
They only missed January.
They missed January, whatever. The pictures didn't matter. And I have my exam next week. The 10th, so the following week, to get my appraiser's license. So fingers crossed on that one. I hate exams.
Yeah,
it's a 3-hour exam.
And we still
3 hour.
And then we still got to line up our recording of our second episode of the podcast.
We do, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get that figured out.
How many episodes are you guys doing?
How many episodes do we have down for?
Technically, one a month. We could go record with them.
Yeah. Right.
Just I don't timing wise ain't gonna work.
No, it's so much fun. They're hilarious. I think we spend most of we'll get there early, we'll laugh for about 20 minutes, and then we have to actually like focus, and then we've got like serious face for half of it, and then it's just
That's great.
And you know what? Everywhere in life you should have somebody behind glass like going like life is so much better.
Say that one more time. Say that one more time.
One more time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, are they video recording you as well?
Yeah. That's why we just put it out.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay.
It'll be video and audio version.
Cool. Okay. Spotify.
Yeah. We're funny.
Eric, any last update from you? What you're up to?
Just my usual, working, finding clients, helping clients, coaching the Eric Graves boys junior high basketball. So far, they're 4-1, 3-1, something like that. And then also coaching with the United Dartmouth Football Club with the U18A girls currently this winter. Hoping to see what goes on. And actually tryouts, we got notification. Summer tryouts are like March, like right after March break. So it's like short turnaround because winter playoffs start in 3 weeks. And then all of a sudden we're into tryouts for summer. It's just goes so quickly.
No more winter camping.
Yeah. Should get the group together and do that Dartmouth, the Dartmouth Dippers, I think they're called. The ones who do they go to Lake Banook.
Lake Banook? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Man, it's like hundreds of people.
Is it 100?
It's a lot. It's a lot. I follow them. I don't know their exact number.
When you do it with other people and you see them in it, it makes you, you're like, oh my God, I can't be the first one to get out. So you just stay.
Yeah.
It's true.
Maybe that'll be some shenanigan we'll do down the road. I've thrown myself in Lawrencetown Beach, fully closed for video. So.
Oh my God.
Things Eric will be oh. All right, 30 seconds. Who wants to close it up? 20. Who wants to be the last one?
20.
No. You guys wrap it up. It's your show.
Yeah. No, I just want to thank you guys and Jim finally figuring this out. But yeah, thanks Danielle, thanks Chantel for sharing your story and your tips, and definitely want to do this again. Hopefully you guys would join us again some down the road, and hope the viewers enjoyed our shenanigans tonight.
Yeah.
And the future viewers will enjoy them.
Future viewers, yeah. Yes, definitely, and this will be shared, and feel free to share as well if you guys is, and reach out if you guys have any topics. Anybody, if you're watching this down the road, topics, let us know. We'll get the guest on to talk about them.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Perfect. So you guys just stay on. I'll end the stream, and then we can chit chat. 1 sec.
Sometime when we can have more beer and